Welcome to our weekly Mitzvah Shabbos program. Today is a week before Tisha B'Av. Yehovchu Yomim Elu L'Sosein U'L'Simcha. So here I want to mention, since we are the 3 weeks Tisha B'Av, time to remind us of the Geula, Hamaisa with the Geula Shleima. So I want to tell you what people had written to me. Okay, I have over here. Okay, I thought of showing you, maybe I will. But anyways, people wrote to me. Some people from years ago, I used to give a class, that Medinas Yisrael should be called as Chalta de Geula. The Medina should be called the beginning of redemption. So I have here a letter from the Rebbe, and I want to answer them. People that are listening should know this. It's not mine, the Rebbe. And I want to share this letter with you. What is the Rebbe Shita? Because many people still think that Medinas Yisrael is Aschalta de Gula, and it's important. The Medinas Yisrael is very important. So the Rebbe answers, many different answers, but one letter. We do not celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut. The Rebbe writes, Chas v'Shalom. Eretz Yisrael is not like every country. It's called Eretz HaKodesh, a holy land. People want to make that Eretz Yisrael should be like any other country. That's Yom HaAtzmaut. And the Rebbe writes, Einei Hashem Elokecha bo mereisis hashona v'adach rishona. And the Rebbe was very strong. This is the early years. Eretz Yisrael is Eretz HaKodesh. And I remember, I think in Tovshin Tesvov, or that year, some people sang, in Yeshiva, they sang a song, of an Israeli song. The Rebbe took off his name. There's no Medinas Yisrael. Very important. Now, all the 50, 60 years of the Rebbe's leadership, even before the Nesias, never did he mention the word Medinas Yisrael. I don't think it ever came out of his mouth. Only Eretz Yisrael. And by the way, people think that, the Satmar Chassidim, by them, the Kanoas of Medinas Yisrael, I think that other Chassidim, they mention Medinas Yisrael 1,000,000 times. Every word is Medinas Yisrael, against Medina. The Rebbe never mentioned once the word Medina, and the Rebbe feels about the Medina more than them, a bigger Kanoi. And that's why the Rebbe never mentions the word Medina, because when you mention Medina, you give it a Metzias. There is no Medina. There is Eretz HaKodesh. Don't dwell in Yetzer Hara. Nefesh HaBahamis. Don't say Yetzer Hara, because then you're giving the Yetzer Hara a Metzias. There is no Medinas Yisrael. Very important. The Shaila is, we see that the Rebbe doesn't behave that way. We see the Rebbe speak to the Israeli government. I have many letters, Hebrew letters. Rabbi Midel took dictation then, that the Rebbe wrote to Ben Gurion. The Rebbe wrote to Menachem Begin. The Rebbe wrote to other from the army. The Rebbe spoke to Netanyahu. And the Rebbe is mekar of them. Why? So the answer is, Medina has nothing to do with it. Ben Gurion was a Yid. He has a neshama. You have to talk to him as a Yid. Eretz Yisrael is holy. It's holy because the Eibishter gave it to the Yidden. Nothing to do with Medinas Yisrael. And we have to protect the Yidden. That's why the Rebbe said not to give back land. And the Rebbe spoke there was so much. The Rebbe says, move to Israel. The Rebbe was for Eretz Yisrael. Not Medina, but Eretz Yisrael. Just like Reform. Reform Rabbi, these letters. The Rebbe writes to Reform Rabbi. He doesn't use the word Rabbi. But he writes to him. And he talks to him. And he's makar of him. Reform, of course Reform is no good. The shit is no good against Torah. But doesn't mean the Yid is not a Yid. The people that go to the temple or whatever, we have to take them out of it. We have to makar them to show them, because they have a neshama. The same thing also with Eretz Yisrael. Now here I want to tell you, I heard this from Rabbi Gutnik, Olav Hasholem, the old Rabbi Gutnik, years ago. The Rebbe told him, I heard from him, whoever is mekarev Yom Ha'atzmaut, is merachik the gula for 50 years. And whoever is merachik Yom Ha'atzmaut is mekarev the gula for 50 years. Yom Ha'atzmaut. In other words, the Rebbe is a bekanoi. The Rebbe Rashab was the same way. Didn't change. The Rebbe didn't change Rebbe Rashab. What changed was, there is Yidden there. You have to protect them. That's why we have to work with them. And a Yid is a Yid. But not Medina. Once. Not once. Hey, ear. That time. Yom Ha'atzmaut, when it was created. When the Medina was created. Reb Shmuel Levit Olav Hasholem, big chassid. He went into the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe was crying. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, he said to him, why are you crying? So he said, Mashiach was born today, but it was a neifel, it was a miscarriage. And Reb Shmuel said, he meant Medinas Yisrael. The Rebbe Rashab held the same way. But not, God forbid, Eretz Yisrael. You have to build Eretz Yisrael. Fakert, you have to build, you have to live there. Why not? It's a holy land, but not Medina. Once, Ben Gurion asked the Gerer Rebbe, the Beis Yisrael, a holy man, says, why don't you say Hallel on Yom Ha'atzmaut? So the Gerer Rebbe said to him, okay, when you say Hallel, I'll say Hallel. He'll never say, Ben Gurion did not say Hallel. That's Medinas Yisrael. You'll say, I'll say. Be from. Change. So this is, people have to know this, and people that ask about Medinas Yisrael. Now, since it's before Tisha B'Av, so I want to go to another topic now. And I'll finish with that. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, to be a Rav, you have to know the fifth Shulchan Aruch. There are Arba Chelki Shulchan Aruch. There are 4 Chalakim. Now there's a fifth Shulchan Aruch. Common sense. A Rav needs to have a fifth Shulchan Aruch. This reminds me, and I mentioned it once, it's before Tisha B'Av. Rabbi Mindel, when he was in school, he was together with Rabbi Chadakov, he was a bacher. He got beaten up, goyim, so much, he had to be in the hospital. So one ear affected him. Not that he couldn't hear, but he had to eat every 3 hours, otherwise he would faint. He had a condition. And that's what they did to him years ago. I spoke about it once. So Rabbi Mindel didn't know what to do. Yom Kippur, of course he fasts, he goes to shul half of the time, he lies down, but it's difficult, but no problem. But Tisha B'Av, he didn't know what to do. He has to eat every 3 hours. So he didn't know. So he asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, what should he do Tisha B'Av? So the Frierdiker Rebbe says, ask a Rav. Now before the Frierdiker, then when he walked out, from a Rebbe, you walk backwards. When he walked out, The Rebbe called him back, and he smiled, and he says, "Aber vergesst nicht fragen a klugen Rov. Don't forget to ask a smart Rov." So his Rov was the Shmuel Leviten, all of Hashem. So he told the Shmuel Leviten what the Rebbe said. So he said, when the Rebbe says, ask a smart Rov, you can eat half a day on Tisha B'Av. If you ask another Rov, maybe, a Pisha Chadorach, you're not allowed to eat. If you can't sleep, you have to have a kluger Rov. It's very important. Now, another incident that happened, my daughter, my youngest daughter, was angesund, got married that day, and we go to the Ehel, to the Ehel on the day of a child's wedding. So I drove, I took the car, my wife, and I drove to the Ehel. That night is my wedding, my daughter's wedding. In the middle of, it was on Linden Boulevard there, I get a call that my mother passed away. That day, imagine. I turned back, and I went back mother passed away. Anyways, we made the Levaya very fast that day. If there wouldn't be a Levaya, it wouldn't be a question. I'm not allowed to go to the wedding. But there was a Levaya already. So I didn't know what to do. Can I go to the wedding? Can I not go to the wedding? What should I do? It's all shilas. So I asked the Rav. So one Rav told me, you're not allowed to go. You're in Shiva, and today's you're not allowed to go. Finished. Now, what I did was I went to another Rav. I shouldn't really do it as Chatoy and Maskir, because when you ask one Rav, you should keep that. But I didn't. But I'm telling you a fact. That's what happened. So I went to another Rav. So the Rav says you can only go to the chuppah, not to the chasana. Okay. I was not satisfied. So I went to a third Rav. So I went to that Rav, he's a big Rav. And he said, let me ask you a question. Will your daughter be upset if you're not going to go to the wedding? I said, let me ask her. I asked her, she said, of course. And it says that to be mesameach, to make happy akala, is big in Yanim. So what's better, he says, to be mesameach akala or not to go to the wedding? He says you can go to the chuppah and to the wedding. He told me that. I used his shita. I shouldn't have, but this is what happened. I call that a Rav that has a fifth Shulchan Aruch. He understood how important it is for the Kala that you should be happy. So that's what he answered me. I think this is a Kluger Rav. Now, one more thing. Every Rav, and the Freik Rebbe said it, has to have shimush. He shouldn't become a Rav, without having shimush with other Rabbanim. My father had shimush by Harav Dubravsky. He was the Rab Zalman Shimon Dvorkin's father-in-law. Big Rav. Mamishi was a great Rav. This was in Russia. So a woman came with a chicken and asked the shaila. Nowadays there's no shaila with chickens, I don't know why. All chickens are kosher. I never saw a woman go to shaila. My wife did go, 30, 40 years ago, she saw something on a chicken, and I went to Rabbi Dvorkin then, and he said it's no good. Anyway, that's another story. But now nobody goes to Rabbanim to chickens, I don't know why. Every chickens are kosher. So she came to a Rav to shaila on a chicken. She came to Rabbi Mendel Dubravsky, Olav Hasholim. My father was there. So Rabbi Mendel Dubravsky said to my father, you answer. He was busy. So my father looked at the chicken, a treif. With the bone, there's a certain place, the bone. It was red, it's for sure treif. Everybody knows treif. So he told her it's not good. So before she left, Rabban Dabrowski asked my father, what did you say? He said, it's treif. So he says, Yidene, come here. Show me the chicken. looks at the chicken. My father said he put his glasses like that, with a little knife, and then he opened up a sefer. He looked. He says, Idana, go home, it's kosher. My father was shocked. This is a place where everybody knows. So Rabbi Grabowski saw my father was shocked. So he says, Be'emes, you're right. It's safe. But dus farzen a behaltenem tzemach tzedek. There's a hidden tzemach tzedek. You didn't see it. If you'd look in that tzemach tzedek, you be the avid. For her, you can make kosher. To me, this is a klugirov. But if you want to look, you have to know to who. Maybe her whole parnasa is the chicken. I don't know why. But with Arov Dav Hobem, a fifth of Shulchan Aruch. So now we're almost. Tisha B'av should become a yontif, and the Churban Beis Hamikdash was because of sinas chinam. So now our union is to have avas chinam, to love. And as we spoke, that the last thing that the Rebbe left us, Pasha Vayakel, the last time we heard the Rebbe, I was there. He spoke about avas Yisrael and tzedakah. And this is what we should do now, to avas Yisrael and give tzedakah. And we should, and the Rebbe says a helfen, that it's Tisha B'av Yehavcho Yamim Elul L'Sasen L'Simcha. And we want Mashiach should come now. Next week, we're not going to have a program because it's Tisha B'av. Thank you.